the book that you wrote. This is a lot of pages. I'm going to open up to a random page and read something. Meg knew that the Foreign Intelligence Service, or FSB, was the Russians' version of the CIA, and the director at S was in charge of illegal intelligence. Zaslan was the closest unit they had to the program, men trained for deep cover operation in foreign countries. Whew.
Yeah, Meg.
That is some, wow. What you wrote there, that was some powerful stuff. Where did you get that?
Well, first of all, it is powerful stuff.
I know, that's what I just said.
And Meg is powerful. She's the female protagonist. You're reading about her right there. And so what they're trying to, like, Eric Steele gets attacked at his home, and what he realizes throughout the course of the book is that, like, the attack was just a catalyst for something much bigger. So he goes, in the beginning of the book, goes on a revenge mission to get revenge against the people that attacked him in his house, and realizes that he's been drawn into something, drawn into a much larger conspiracy.
That's cool.
So
what was the reason, like, where did the character come from?
Yeah, so I think that...
So we talked about the name, where the name came, but where, you know, when you think about the character, is it you? Are you Eric Steele?
No, you know, I think, truthfully,
Am I Eric Steele?
Maybe a little bit. I think that, like, the truth of the matter is that, like, maybe a little bit of each of us. Like, Eric Steele, like, is inspired from my guys on the battlefield, you know?
Anybody in particular?
All of them. You know,
a little bit
of everybody. And the bottom line is like, I wanted to write a character that sort of embodied the warrior ethos that my guys, like, you watch these guys risk life and limb to save someone that they don't even know, or save an Afghan child, or get an Afghan woman out of the line of fire. That to me is like true heroism. Like, I looked at those guys, like, I learned the lesson, you know, you're always told at West Point or in on ROTC that great leaders are supposed to inspire their men. But the truth of the matter is, in combat, is that great men or great troops inspire their leaders, and they inspired me every day through some of the, like, greatest triumphs of the human spirit on the battlefield. And, you know, came back from Afghanistan.
You find yourself, like, again, reading Outlaw Platoon, you find yourself a few times just, like, not knowing what to do, but, like, looking at what they're doing and just going, like, fuck, man, I need to step up. I need to be bigger than what I am.
That's exactly it, man. And I've talked a few times like that. I'm not your typical, you know, light infantry lieutenant. You know, I wasn't born for this. You know, but I drew my inspiration from those guys who fought harder than I've ever seen anyone fight in their whole lives. I mean, I had 6 guys shot in the head. 6. All of them survived. And so I get criticized for this all the time, you know, because I fractured my skull when I got blown up on June 10th. I fractured it in 3 separate places. And I get criticized, well, why didn't you allow yourself to be evacuated? Because, you know, you're not giving your men your best if you're wounded. Well, it's like, I get that.
That's easy for somebody to say, though.
It is.
Who the fuck is going to step up?
It is. It's true. I mean, it's true. But at the same time, like, how do I, as their leader?
How do you leave?
Yeah, and when I've got men being shot in the head, wrapping themselves. This was before TBI was even an acronym. Guys, like, wrapping up their heads and you know, wrapping their heads like mummies and getting back out there. How am I supposed to leave? You know, when my guys are getting shot in the head and staying. So, you know, Eric Steele. Battlefield, I tried to take all of that and cram it into a character. And Eric Steele was a character that does everything he can to save people. If he can deviate from the mission and save, you know, a little girl, or stop a rape from happening on a woman, he'll do that. And Eric Steele always has the tactical prowess, the athletic ability, the intelligence to save the person that's not a part of his mission and still complete his mission. And in the first book, you know, the way that I think the way that you identify those key points in your main character, the things that embody who they are, and then you attack them with your villain. And in the first book, he's attacked by somebody that he loves. Like, the enemy that he faces is somebody that he loves and somebody that he saved before. So what happens when the mission becomes someone that you love and care about?
How is Eric Steele different from, like, Jack Reacher?
Yeah, so Jack Reacher is, first of all, he's a great character. I love Jack Reacher. I've been reading Lee Child's books since, like, the mid 90s, but Jack Reacher is a drifter, he walks into a town, solves a problem, and he walks out, and the only thing he's got on his person is like a disposable toothbrush, and Eric Steele, he believes in the mission. This genre in Hollywood is awash in anti-heroes right now. They just are. And I wanted to create a character whose weakness is how good he is. He's a good guy. He doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, he doesn't do any of that stuff. But what enemies exploit in Eric Steele is his desire to want to save innocent life, and so what he learns in the first book is sometimes you can't save everybody, or sometimes the mission parameters are such that you can't save everybody, and you're left with at the end a no-win situation where either course of action someone dies. That's not dissimilar to what American troops face on the battlefield every day. In this book, it's are you a man or are you a slave? Like both the villain and the hero, both Eric Steele and the villain in this book serve something greater than they serve a government, and the government tells them what to do. The villain has been a slave to an assassin, a hitman for the government his whole life. He's been used and abused. The truth of the matter is that's no different than Eric Steele, right? Like he has been used and abused by his government. The difference is that Eric Steele, the resolution to that theme is that Eric Steele chooses to do what he does. He's a servant, not a slave, right? And there's a qualitative difference there. And so that's why to circle back to a question that you asked early on, why theme-based? That's why theme-based. American troops serve the greatest country on the face of the planet. We raise our right hands to do it because we choose to do it. Most of the people, and I feel like that's what makes us the most formidable fighting force the world has ever known, because we choose. Most countries don't. And so that is the juxtaposition and the contrast that I try to capture in this book.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's intense.
Yeah, it is. And yes, the theme it's not high concept, but it's philosophical in nature. But the story is action packed. The thing is I like to write guns blazing thrillers. Like every thriller that I write, I want to have a bigger theme, a larger than life theme. But I want there to be like Michael Bay action.
For me, the best fiction is always fiction that also conveys some kind of message. Like I'm not in it just for the story.
Yes.
So that's really cool.
Well, do
you think you're getting better?
Well, I hope, that's the goal with writing fiction. Like I look back on Man of War, the first book, and there are things I do different now, and in this book, I think I improved on those things and insofar as like writing a plot that was more streamlined. That's the thing that's cool about a Jack Reacher book is like you pick up a book that's written by Lee Child, and you expect Jack Reacher, like the book, to start with a question that's unanswered, right? And you expect Jack Reacher to walk into that town and help you solve whatever that is.
Figure it out.
So there's something to be said for giving your audience, an expectation, right? And so I'm still trying to figure out what that is with these books, but hopefully, you get better each time, and I can find out whatever that is. And so that whenever people read these books, when people read an Eric Steele story, they know what to expect, And the next book that I'm writing, the bottom line is with Eric Steele is like, if I'm taking my troops and the heroism that I witnessed on the battlefield and making and developing a character out of them, like over time, that character would ask themselves, like, is the mission worth it? And again,
for sure,
we all ask ourselves that same question, like, what am I doing here? Is it worth it? This guy just got killed. Like, is what we're doing worth it? And so Eric Steele, that's how I hammer away at his character. He continues to ask himself, as people around him that he loves and cares about get implicated in the mission, is it worth it? Is what he's doing worth it?